everyone to another episode of the Camper Report. We're about 8 minutes late, but we're trying to kind of match up our draft boards. So
Yeah.
we were talking about that for a little while backstage. So excuse us. I will say we've got Pete Lucas in the building today. Go follow him. At the Niner Fanatic Podcast on YouTube. Links are in the description. You can also go follow him on Twitter. Link in the description as well. I will say that intro that I have, it used to be really loud for me, but now I just got so used to it that I can blast my ears out, and it's still I don't have to turn down the volume. So how are you doing today? Excited to get into these top 10 prospects and maybe guys that we don't have on our list, but we'll also bring up as well. So excited to get this going. How are you doing?
Oh yeah, man. I'm stoked. Like it's draft season. This is for draft geeks like myself. Like this is
Yes.
the best part of the year. It's the team building aspect of football is my favorite part. So I'm extremely excited to be talking mock drafts and to be talking the draft in general. So happy to be here, Ben. Appreciate you having me.
Yeah, no problem. I think the draft is I think a little bit more exciting than free agency just because you get more time in between the season for the draft. And it's like free agency, it's like right after the season ends, especially if you're a team going far. So you don't focus on it a whole lot. It kind of comes and goes. And so, but yeah, excited to get it going. Before we start, though, I did want to bring up a few points that I think this is very key, that will affect the way the 49ers draft. There was a few moves that the 49ers did in free agency. Let's start with the first few. Let's start with Feliciano, the guard / center that we signed. He used to play for the Giants. What does the 49ers signing of think John Feliciano affect the Niners draft board?
To me, it's huge because
Yeah.
he is going to be in my eyes. I saw some stuff on Twitter about talking about he might start. I think that's just kind of drumming up talk in a slow news cycle. But I think he's going to be our new Daniel Brunskill, and
Yeah.
that's really what he is. But the key part of that is that what did Daniel Brunskill back up? He backed up at the center spot, and they just signed Brendel to a 4-year deal. So he's going to be the starter, it looks like. Now you've got Feliciano that can back him up. I doubt that they draft a guy at this point. I just don't know if they like the guys that were down where they are in the draft as far as centers go. I know that they talked to Juice Scruggs, and there was a couple of guys, but like the Feliciano move says to me that they're not going to draft a center now. So I'd be shocked if they did.
I agree. I mean, I was really interested in Mozzie Smith. I'm a Michigan fan. He's obviously, I was thinking, we can trade up some picks, go up and get him maybe. But now it's like, dang. And this was all, I was looking at him before we re-signed Brendel. And now that happened, I'm like, okay, well, we're definitely not going to do that. But this definitely is huge because now I'm wondering, like, do you put Burford back at a right tackle, the position he used to play for UTSA? I think that was his college. And it's like, now it's like, does that affect the way they draft the right tackle position, which I'm stoked to get into? That's a lot of my prospects on my board, but yeah, that's could be what it affects too. So
it definitely could. Burford, I think that they're going to keep him at right guard, in my opinion. I defer all of my offensive line knowledge to Brad Graham, and Brad seems to think that Burford is not going to make a good right tackle. So I'm going to defer to the expert, and I think that they should probably just keep him at right guard. And I think that they absolutely should go after some right tackles. There's some right tackles that could fall as far as the 5th and 6th round that could be starters by next season. So I don't necessarily think that is the wrong way to go here.
Yeah. Before we get any further, though, now that we've got some people in the stream, quickly describe what you do on your channel, and so they can go check that out real quick.
Oh, for sure. And you can find me on the Niner Fanatic Podcast on YouTube. I'm really focusing on the YouTube channel right now. So I was posting to Twitter and to Facebook, but I'm kind of focusing on the YouTube. So you can find me on YouTube. Also, you can find the audio version on anywhere where you can get your audio podcast. And that is the Niner Fanatic Podcast. Make sure you tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend so we can be friends every week and every day.
Well, go and do that. I already have, and you should too, because if you're a loyal supporter of this channel, you should be of that channel as well.
Appreciate you.
Miles Hartsfield, real quick. Let's touch on this. And Miles Hartsfield and Isaiah Oliver. How does this affect? Because I think Oliver's a corner and Hartsfield is I think he's a safety. I didn't look too much into that, but
He's kind of a Dante Johnson type. He does a little bit of everything.
Okay. And then obviously Hartsfield was from the Panthers and Isaiah Oliver from the Falcons. And so basically both secondary player, which I find interesting because both of them are from the division that Steve Wilkes was the defensive coordinator of. So he gets a good look at those two guys. One of them he coached in Miles Hartsfield. So how does that affect maybe the way we draft secondary? I mean, I'll start with this one. I think not really. I think we still need a safety. I think you still need a young safety for that depth. I mean, you're gonna have what's his name? Tashawn Gibson probably retire next year. So it's like you redshirt this safety, he comes in and he's good next year if you draft one. So I still don't think that affects the way you draft safety, but I do think it affects the way you draft nickel corner.
Yes, I absolutely. I don't think that they're gonna probably go nickel corner. They've got Womack. They've got Diamador Lenore, and now they've got Oliver. And so I think that position is kind of shored up at this point. What I think that they're going to be looking for is cornerback depth. And I still expect them to draft at least one, if not two. And in a second one, maybe in the later rounds, like they always do. They always take a defensive back in the later rounds just to see if they pan out. And I expect them to bring some more in as undrafted free agents, because that's just what they do. Like last year, they had so many defensive backs that we ended up losing one of our draft picks because one of the undrafted guys looked better than him. So it is what it is.
Yep. Well, so without further ado, though, let's get to some of the comments. Grandizer, as always, in here. I appreciate you, Grandizer, for always checking in. Hello, Ben and Pete Lucas. Able to catch part of your stream. Got my Falcons content creator going live. It seems like you are always watching a content creator and supporting them, which is great because I love it. I love the support you give to all the NFL content creators who I moderate for in a few, hitting the likes to show support. Thank you. 2023 San Francisco 49ers college prospect tracker, Israel Abanikanda.
Yeah, I struggle with that name too. Abanaconda.
Running back, Davis Allen. I don't know if we'll get a running back, but maybe. Tight end, Alex Austin. You know the tight end that's very impressive that we probably can't get? The guy from Georgia, Washington.
Oh, yeah. No. Yeah. That guy he is a beast. Did you see him push the sled in the combine? It was insane.
Oh my gosh.
Insane.
I see a Georgia player. Like if I see a Georgia or Alabama player, there are a few that are like projected to go 4th or 5th round. I'm like, what? Because like every player from those two schools goes 1st, 2nd, 3rd round. That guy's going 1st round though. That's for sure. Alex Austin, cornerback, Oregon State. Julius Brents, cornerback, Kansas State.
Good player.
And then we have this next one. Oh, sorry. I'm not. And then we have this next one, Ryan Hayes, Michigan. I've looked at him. He could be a low round tackle. Jonathan Mingo, wide receiver from Ole Miss. Jamie Robinson, cornerback / free safety from Florida State. Juice Scruggs, center from Penn State.
Yep.
So we'll keep those in mind as well. So let's get to, obviously I have my list written down. Let's get to the number 10 I have Zach Kuntz on at number 10. He's projected 7th round. He's a tight end. I believe he's from what is it? Is it like it's
Old Dominion.
Louisiana?
Old
Old
Dominion.
Dominion. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because he played at Penn State, transferred to Old Dominion.
Yep.
And obviously an athletic guy, definitely needs some work in the run game though. But I think if you're the 49ers, you have George Kittle, you have blocking tight ends, you need a guy that can catch the football. And I think that's exactly what Zach Kuntz is. Again, a lot of people are drooling over Sam Laporta, and I have him on my list, but I just don't think that's how the 49ers are going to roll. I think they're going to get a 5th to 7th round tight end, a guy who can maybe specializes in one thing and then comes in, and I think they need a ball catcher at tight end, and I think Zach Kuntz could be the one to do it.
Yeah, I have him in my list somewhere. Like and he's one of the guys I'm looking for in that third round, early 4th round level. And the 49ers actually might end up, if they want him, he might go before 99 because the guy's an athletic freak, fast. He needs to work a little bit on his blocking, which I think which I think may keep him away from the 49ers. But I think us as fans, we want to see the athletic freak on the field. So I think he'd be as a pass catching number 2 next to George Kittle. That might be a nice little fit.
Yeah, for sure. And the thing that's so interesting is that he didn't even really play that many games. I think he only started like 12 games. Yeah. And in 2020, I have this little stat. He played 4 games and hauled in 73 catches. When I saw that, my mouth dropped open. Yeah. I'm like, how is that even possible? So, other than that, he didn't have much work. So he's kind of a guy that like athleticism is going to get him drafted very high. But other than that, I don't have a ton of, we don't have a ton of tape on him. So.
Yeah, no, I agree. And, but we don't have a ton of tape on him, but from an athletic trait standpoint, he's one of those guys that the 49ers could take and let their coaching staff take over.
Yeah, for sure. What is your number 10 though? I'm curious.
My number 10 is, for me, it is, and me and you mentioned him a little earlier, but offline, but a Mike Morris out of Michigan. He's an edge, and he's 6'5", 275, and I'm a Michigan fan, like go blue all day long. And but it's Mike. He's a guy that's going to be a base down edge, and a guy that can set that edge, can play the run well. He has to develop some pass rushing moves, but supremely strong player. He would be mostly a power type of end. But Chris Kasurik makes magic. So I think that he could teach him some basic fundamentals around pass rush and let that guy's athleticism take over. I mean, he's got a ton of talent. So I like Mike Morris.
Didn't have the greatest 40 time. I don't have it pulled up in front of me, but I know it wasn't great. Had 9 sacks last year at Michigan, but did get injured. Didn't play in that Georgia game. Mm-hmm. I do know that he is a guy who he's bigger. He is a bigger defensive end. So if you're playing more of like a, I don't know, 4-3 scheme, he could almost fit at defensive tackle, and you're playing like 3 defensive ends, he could almost fit at defense tackle.
Like there. A NASCAR package.
Yeah. And I have a guy very high on my list that is kind of similar to that. Okay. Well, obviously, yeah. So we'll get to number 9 then, if you have anything else to say on him though.
No, I'm good. He's Mike. It's kind of a homer pick. I will say that.
Do you want to right now pull up maybe the players, that list of players that the 49ers have met with, or do we just keep rolling?
Maybe we should talk about that. We'll talk about that after we get our top 10 out, and then we can talk about the guys that the 49ers have already talked to, and because there's quite a few of them.
Okay. Sounds good. Real quick, Brandizer. Oh, yeah, no. That's actually a great idea, because I think we should react to our list first, and then I think that's a great idea.
Yeah.
That is all I've seen. However, sure, there are more not listed on the site I looked up. Okay.
Yeah.
I know you're obviously a Dolphins fan, so I'm trying to get a Dolphins fan in here. It's just kind of hard to find people that will actually respond on Twitter. So I'm working on getting a Dolphins fan on the show for sure. So, but let's get to your number 9 pick. Obviously, everyone, he does not have it on the screen. I just have my list on the screen. So what is your number 9 player on your top 10?
My number 9 player is going to be Starling Thomas, the 5th, out of UAB. He's a corner, he's 6'1", and I had it written down. I don't know why I didn't bring it up, but he's. Oh, I didn't write him down. He's 6'1" and he's 195, and but he's like kind of a scrappy guy. He's got a guy that's going to probably go in that later 5th round. That he's going to be one of those guys that's kind of under the radar, but he's going to all of a sudden look like one of the better corners in camp. I think he's a really scrappy, like I said, scrappy guy that is coachable. And I think with our new defensive coordinator being a back end guy, like it's going to be. I think that's going to be a pretty big pick because he has good traits, long arms. I think that he's going to be a really good player.
Yeah, there's like any player and cornerback in this draft that is a little bit taller. I've noticed. I don't know if you watched the combine, which I think you probably did. But a lot of cornerbacks that are 5'11" that run fast 40 times in the low 4.3, like 4.3s. So any cornerback I think that is taller is going to be looked at by NFL scouts because there's a lot. This is a smaller cornerback draft for sure. And so that's why you have Devin Witherspoon going really high, I think, because he has some more height on him. So there's going to be
so light. He's so little. Like he's like he's got like 165 pounds.
He was measured at 180 pounds at the draft.
Was he? Okay.
Yeah, I think it was 180, but still not very. Like you're probably supposed to be. He's like what? 6'1"?
He looks really skinny.
Yeah.
Yeah, but anyway.
And that's the problem, like with him. Not to get sidetracked, but I mean, he's playing in the Big Ten, a lot smaller schools than the NFL. So yeah, he's gonna have to gain a few pounds, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But obviously, I have Mike Morris at number 9. So let's just move on. We've already covered him at number 8. I have Michael Wilson from Stanford. Now, this is a guy that he stood out in the Senior Bowl. I haven't really. He's projected 4th or 5th round. Taller receiver. I believe he's like 6'1", slot receiver. And I think the 49ers are going to need somebody like that. Maybe give him, I mean, he ran a 4.58, so that's not really great. He's a slower 40 time, but did have a good Senior Bowl. So I think maybe the 49ers get another slot receiver. I'm not really sure. Here's my question to you. Do you prioritize speed if you're the 49ers looking for a receiver in this draft, or do you pick another slot receiver? But this is a guy that they could pick in day 3 as a lower round pick.
I think that they have the speed on the team at this point. What they're missing is a guy that can just go up and get it. Yeah. And like, that's what I'm really looking for them. I need a bigger bodied guy, like kind of like Juwan Jennings, except a guy that can just has supreme, that is like an explosive guy that is just going to win the 50-50 ball. Because that's the thing. I think that one thing that we're missing that we've been begging the 49ers to draft for like the last 4 or 5 years, and they just refuse to go out and get that guy. So it's not Shanny's style, but I can always hope.
Here's a stat that I put in my notes. When targeted, makes quarterbacks a quarterback rating of 105.4 and averages 15 yards per catch, and a lot of that is after the catch. So
that's a Shanny guy.
Yeah, he is a Shanny. He is a Shanny guy. And he's also the reason why he actually slipped so far is he had quite a few injuries. He's been, I think he
Mm,
had 2 years in Stanford where he was injured. I can look that up to double check, but that's why he slipped. And so, yeah, you take a flyer on a guy who really could be like a second or third round pick, but is now getting picked in the 5th round for injury. So,
yeah. And he's
what
not going to
is
get playing time regardless because they've got so many
right?
people ahead of him right now that might be better if he just sits.
Yeah, for sure. So, what is your number 8?
My number 8 is a guy that I'm not sure would get the 49ers would take because of the Javon Hargrave signing, but I like Gervon Dexter out of Florida, 6'6", 310 monster down low. I think he is exactly the player that we thought we were getting with Kinlaw, except we're going to be able to get him all the way down to the 3rd round, the end of the
Right.
3rd round. And I'm not quite sure as to the more I looked into this guy, I'm not quite sure as to why he's slipping so far, but the guy is a monster.
Yeah. I had him at number 6.
Mm.
Definitely could he's a bigger dude. I mean, I think he's like what
Yeah,
6, what did you say he
6'6",
was? 6'6"?
6'6",
Yeah,
6'6",
6'6".
310.
Ran at the combine, watched him run. The explosiveness on that guy, that was the guy, and I don't have his 40 time. I can actually pull it up, but when he ran it, I remember seeing him and being like, and I remember I looked him up and I was like, who is this guy? And
Yeah.
yeah, out of Florida. So I can look that up real quickly.
And he actually fell after, like, in
Right.
the mocks, he fell after the combine, which is really weird to me. I don't know. There's got to be something else there that somebody knows that I don't like. That he's the reason why he's so far down in the draft. Because I mean, athletic wise, he's a monster.
Yeah. And I mean, if you're looking for guys to add a little bit of pass rush in the middle, that's a guy
Hmm.
for sure. And he has great power as well. And so, I mean, that's a guy that you can put in the middle. And again, he's projected around what, 3rd round. So
Yeah,
that's around the
end of the
101,
3rd round, early
102.
4th.
Yeah, early 4th. So maybe, obviously, you said, so we were talking backstage. You said we could maybe trade down. Give us that theory a little bit
Yeah,
in
like
the
I
3rd
mean,
round.
right now, like he's right there in the middle of that 4th round, like that they're
Hmm.
projecting. Now, who knows what every team has a different board. So, and
Hmm.
they all evaluate these guys differently, which is why you always see, even though everybody does 20 million mock drafts, that's why you see the teams completely do something. Always ends up being completely different, is because every team has different grades on each guy. So it all depends on their scouting team. And they're not paying attention to the mock drafts. They're not paying attention to the draft experts. So it's
Yeah.
gonna be like he could go higher. He could go way higher than this.
Hmm.
But that isn't like if it sets the way that it does right now, and they took it as like, hey, we're gonna look at the PFF grade on it, and we're gonna base it on that, then the 49ers are picking at 99, 10, 101, and 10 and 102. So theoretically, they could trade down and pick up some more assets for next year and get and still get him a few picks later.
Yeah. 5-star recruit out of high school.
Yeah.
Played let's see, 1,300 snaps. No, almost 1,400 snaps. So has had the experience for sure. And which defensive tackle, that's not, I mean, for quarterback, that's really important. Defensive tackle, not as much. So
Hmm.
we'll see what happens with him. But moving on to number 7, I've got Joey Fisher. This is actually the very first
Mm.
draft prospect that I started looking into. This is actually a guy that they've met with. Joey Fisher, right tackle out of Shepherd. Now,
Okay.
here's the thing with him. This guy, huge dude. I think he's 6'8", 325, and I mean, he's good in the run game. Mauls guys in the run game, has great strength. He kind of reminds me of DeJuan Jones. Once he puts his hands on you, it's over for you because I mean, he basically just stonewalls you if you get his hands on you.
Yeah.
But he's a guy that I don't think can start right away because his speed. He played at a small school. It's like it's the type of guy that he's projected 5th to 7th round, but he's the type of guy that you could get later in the round, but probably will have to sit to see what you've got with him, maybe on the practice squad, because he played at a small school. You don't really know. It's a D2 school. And so yeah, I think he could maybe be our swing tackle, but this is more of a depth pick if the 49ers go there. So
got you. And
what is your number 7?
my number 7 would be I had it right in front of me. My number 7 is Tucker Kraft out of South Dakota. He's another tight end. This is a guy that he tested really well at the combine. He is as much of an athletic freak as Zach Kuntz is. Tucker Kraft matched him, and I think he was a little bit better on the sled. So I really like this guy. The 49ers would have to move up probably to get him. But from the 3rd round, I think he's going to probably go early to mid 3rd round. And obviously the 49ers pick late 3rd round. So I think, I mean, that's theoretically speaking, but Tucker Kraft, I think, is a really good piece and could potentially be great. I think that he is a starting level tight end, and he's going to be a really good player for a lot of years for somebody. I just don't know that the 49ers move up to get a tight end. Now, if he falls, they would be stupid not to take him.
Well, I mean, we'll get into, tight ends are something that, like I said earlier, it's like, I think you're right. If a tight end does fall, that it's really good, that has talent, I think the 49ers do draft him in the 3rd round. But other than that, I don't see us trading up for any right tackle.
Yeah.
I don't see it. So, yeah, real quick, I do have something to real quickly update. He is 292. So, not exactly. And then, yeah, so I think he's about 6'6",
Who is this?
292. Joey Fisher. My bad.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So, but yeah, that's interesting. It's definitely interesting to see our list like kind of differ, because like obviously I was kind of leaning maybe towards going this route of like all the guys that we could get in the 3rd round and like all the guys that we really like that stand out, that are more in the earlier rounds. I'm kind of leaning towards the part of like the 49ers like later round picks, because we have a ton of later round picks.
Yes.
And so I'm kind of just
I got some more, because I think these are kind of like the reason why these guys that I'm talking about are kind of low is because I think these are on my top 10 is that these are the guys that I think are really talented, but I don't know that the 49ers necessarily go. These are just my dream guys. As we get higher up into the ranking, I think you'll see my guy, like my true like sleeper guys are gonna start coming out.
For sure. Yeah, I like that a lot. So yeah, let's move on to number 6. I've got Javon Dexter. We kind of already talked about him, but what is your number 6 pick?
So my number 6 is Alex Austin out of Oregon State, cornerback, and he is a bigger guy, 6'2", a little over 200 pounds, and he is not necessarily a fast guy. He's probably like a 4.5, a little over 4.5 guy, and but he is a really good zone cornerback, and he's probably gonna go in that late 5th, like maybe even 6th round like area, and he might even slip into the 7th. But because he's so dependent on being a zone guy. But I think that for what the 49ers do, I think what the 49ers don't have is that really big corner that they can kind of bully guys with. And I'd really like to see this guy and what Steve Wilkes could do with him. I think that he has a really good temperament, really coachable, and yeah, good fundamentals, especially in zone. I think he can play man. That's where he's going to be tested out early and often if he gets to play. But yeah, he's a really good zone guy.
I kind of had him on my list. Well, not on my list of guys, but I did have him on my like how do you say this? Extra people that I was looking at.
Yeah.
And this kind of reminds me of a guy that you can like swing along the cornerback. And I said this in an earlier show with another person. We're going to need guys who maybe can play nickel and outside. And this guy kind of seems to me like that. Obviously good at, as I watched a little bit of his film, good at rushing off of the edge. And so maybe you fit him into a K'Wan Williams role. He's just maybe a little bit bigger than K'Wan Williams. So that's what maybe he could do. I don't know.
Yeah, he would probably be an outside guy. He'd have to be an outside guy because of his size. Like and his speed is kind of limited. Like I said, he's got to work on his man. To be a nickel, you've got to be able to play man, in my opinion. And like
right.
But Alex Austin he's a scrappy guy, another scrappy guy. I like scrappy guys. I like the guys that are going to get in there in the wide receiver's face and get physical with him at the line of scrimmage and can play the run. Like, because I think that's what the Niners want is those guys that can play some press.
So Grandizer says extra list, aka honorable mentions. That's what I was trying to get at, but I didn't.
We knew what you meant. We knew what you meant, Ben.
I couldn't find the wordage. But yes, moving on to number 5. I've got Zach Kuntz. Who have you got at this? Obviously, wait, hold on. No, I had him at why did I put him at number 5? I don't know why I put Zach Kuntz at number 5. I made a mistake. I had him at number 9. I'll update that real quick. But who have you got at number 5?
Right now, at number 5, I've got a more realistic target for the 49ers and DJ Turner, another cornerback out of Michigan, and another go blue moment. 5'11", 178. He's kind of a smaller guy for an outside guy, and I think that he's gonna have to gain some weight, but really good tape, really good man. Played mostly press man at Michigan. We all know how they picked Ambry Thomas a couple of years ago, but he can play some zone. He does have that ability, and he's a much better zone fit than Ambry Thomas was. So DJ Turner, I think, is going to be good for somebody, and he's a guy that's probably going to go in that
end of second, mid to early third.
No, I think he's going to go mid to
drop.
I think he's going to go all the way down to mid 4th to early 5th. That's what I think he's going to end up at.
Wow. Why? Explain. Because he was the fastest cornerback, 4.26, almost broke a record.
Fast isn't everything.
I was
and
so
his size.
Yeah, go ahead.
His size for being an outside guy. I think that's gonna kind of hurt him a little bit. And honestly, PFF has him like ranked like 140 or like 130 something.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, obviously PFF isn't the end all be all, and all of these mock drafts are all over the place. But yeah. I think of last year's draft. What did everybody say about Donovan West last year? Everybody thought for sure he was a third round.
Yeah, that's true.
And he didn't even get drafted. So there was a lot of guys that thought that we thought were going to get Leon O'Neal's another one, like that they thought was at least going to go in the 5th, and didn't even end up getting drafted. So it's a lot of these guys. It's going to be the same thing. It's all about how the teams kind of view them, and I think that DJ Turner could easily be at least available for them in that 99, 101, 102 area. So
as soon as I saw that guy, I'm more focused on the cornerbacks, because I think like cornerbacks are like the funnest position group to watch at the combine. And so I was more focusing on them, and I saw that guy run and I was like, oh dang, he's at Michigan, because I watched a lot of Michigan games, but the guy I always looked at was number 2, and I think he was a freshman on Michigan. I don't know if you know his name. Number 2 cornerback.
I know
he made a lot of the interceptions.
Yeah, I know you're talking about. I don't remember his name either. Like I didn't watch a ton of college football this year. And then once we get into the draft, I'm like really concentrating on the people that are getting drafted. So like it's but I got to get back in. I got to get back into the swing of things with my Michigan team. Like I'm not. I know it's a sin to say this, but I'm not the biggest Harbaugh fan.
Yeah.
So yeah, like it's been kind of hurtful for him to be in Michigan, even though we've been winning. I feel like he's just good enough to get us in the conversation, and we'll never get over the top.
Yeah, that is true. I was disappointed after that TCU game. We
Yeah.
should have won that game. There were so many things that went wrong at the beginning. I was so mad.
Yeah.
And then I went to this New Year's Eve party trying to blow off some steam because I was just pissed. I mean, I was watching that. I became a Michigan fan. I think I told you this because of Harbaugh. And
Oh, really?
yeah. Yeah, cuz I mean, obviously I started becoming a 49ers fan when they were having those championship years, those 3 years
Okay.
that they went to the championship and Super Bowl. So I was really young. And so, I mean, Harbaugh was my hero. And
Mm.
so, I
He's a
was
good
like,
coach.
when he went to Michigan, I was like, hey, I've never really liked college football. I was pretty young. I was like, I'll go for them. And I've stuck with them for what, 7 years, 7 or 8 years
Yeah.
now. So, but yeah, again, real quick to DJ Turner, because he's an intriguing prospect.
He is.
Obviously, a guy who doesn't have a ton of interceptions, but can cover. And if you can, like you said, I mean, outside cornerback, but I think a lot of teams get their hands on him and maybe turn him to a slot cornerback. I think that's what I would do. And also, I mean, if you watch his highlights, does have some pretty good hits, pretty good tackles as well. So
Mm-hmm.
does tend to get a little bit handsy though in coverage.
Yeah.
And gets
That's
flagged
every
a lot.
corner.
So
That's
that is true. That is
that
true.
like you can put on tape of any corner, and they're at some point they're getting handsy, and that's going to be a main thing when they get to the NFL is how do they teach their way out of those tendencies.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So
For sure. For sure. But if you're a man defense, he's the guy for you. Definitely
yes,
a very good cornerback in man to man coverage.
absolutely.
So let's see. That was number 5. Who have you got at number 5? So
Oh,
obviously number six for you was DJ Turner, and then
yeah.
number 5 was is now we're doing. So
Okay. So I've got at number 5. I've got, where is he? Where it's right here. Number 5, my number 5 guy. Actually, my number 5 is going to end up being Jartavius Martin out of
okay.
Illinois. He's listed as a cornerback on PFF because he's kind of a tweener. He does play that they've kind of used him everywhere, but I think his role is going to be safety in the league, and I think he is a Jimmy Ward clone. And it's going to be, I think that he could really kind of step into that role. He's 5'11", 194. He's kind of a little bit smaller, but he's also, he plays almost exactly like Jimmy Ward. Like likes to hit, like a very physical guy, but can guard your guy in the slot, can drop down and guard and cover tight ends, and he can play that single high. Also, he's done that in college too. So I just think that him and Hufanga together could be a group for years. So
It seems like that Illinois' cornerback room is a little bit sorry, secondary room is a little bit small.
mhm.
But you go back and look at his tape, most of his highlights are, him hitting, tackling people in the backfield, huge hits off of screens, um, had some good forced fumbles in his career. I don't
Mhm.
know, have the exact stats here. Let me look him up real quick. Um, 11 pass breakups, 3 interceptions, which is actually pretty good for a safety. And then QB rating when targeted of 70.2, which is pretty average. So, yeah, I know what you're saying. Physical guy, and definitely a playmaker, because Niners like guys who are speedy, who can fly around. That's their linebacker core. That's their secondary core. And that
Yep.
fits the bill, like you said. So, yes, for sure. Jartavius Martin. My number 5 guy actually was him too, but I kind of like at the last second, I realized that I didn't have a 10th guy and I really liked him. And he was going to be my honorable mention. So I had him at number 5, but I kind of just threw him in there. That was kind of by chance that we got the same person. So number 4 for you though. I have Sam Laporta from Iowa. This guy was very intriguing, had a 4.59 40 time, which is actually really good. Needs a little bit of work in the blocking game, but catching, he had 11 games. I think it was in his senior year with 53 catches and 11 yards per catch or 11.5 yards per catch. So that's another guy. I was talking about Kuntz earlier. And that's a guy, this guy's the same. Sam Laporta is the exact same guy.
He's huge.
Can catch.
Guy's a giant
over the middle. The only concern that I have with him is can he get separation? So they're going to have to scheme up passing plays for him. So who's your number 4?
My number 4 is going to be Tyler Steen out of Alabama. We all know it, 49er fans. We all know that we need a right tackle and for the future. And right now we have Colton McKivitz starting at right tackle. So I need a guy that's if he can't start this year, is gonna be starting by next season. And I think Tyler Steen is just the guy. He's played at a really good school. I get it that Alabama players don't seem to always work out in the league, when it comes to offensive linemen and quarterbacks. But at the same time, he's 6'6", 321, supremely athletic. Has the long arms. I think he gets to the second level. I think that he is going to be really good in this league, especially as if they make him a right tackle. I think the biggest mistake for him would be for somebody to pick him up and think that he's going to be a left tackle. I think this guy is a right tackle only. But I think if he's branded as that and they develop him as a right tackle only, I think that he could at least be better than Mike McGlinchey. We'll say that.
So real quick for people that are watching, just to real quickly recap, who have your top 10 been so far?
I didn't have them in order. But
okay. In order, just like, the guys that you have named so far, because, obviously you don't have it on the screen. So.
Oh, okay. So I did have Zach Kuntz as one of my guys. I did have, I have to remember because it's all kind of jumbled around.
Oh,
I know
okay,
I had,
that's totally fine.
Yeah, I had Gervon Dexter. I know I had
Jartavius Martin, Mike Morris,
Martin, Tucker Kraft, and I had Starling Thomas.
Okay.
And there was another guy I had on this page. And Alex Austin.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. Obviously you're a lot deeper in this than me. It's like I'm just getting my feet wet and you're just all the way you're swimming right now in the NFL draft. So that should be fun as well. Just to continue looking at these guys. But at number 3, I've got Trey Dean. This guy is an extremely exciting safety from Florida. Now, obviously, when you're drafting this late, I was actually doing a mock draft and I picked him at 102. Now, I'll name out my scenarios for you, and this probably should be later for the show because I was basically trying to trade up from pick number 99, which is, I think, our first pick. We have 99, 101, and 102. I was basically trying to find pick scenarios for how we could trade up and get a right tackle. So I basically at 102, I used my 101 pick to go. So I used pick 99, pick 102, and pick 173 to move up to pick 70. And I got Blake Freeland with that pick. And then at 101, I got Trey Dean. So this guy's a guy from Florida. I think, his best season as a junior, he gave up a 54.3 passer rating. And then obviously at this point, I mean, he was going to be one of the top safeties, and then in his senior year, drastically dropped to a 76.1 passer rating when targeted.
Mm.
But speed and agility, big thing. I mean, he could cover big corners. So if you wanted to rotate him out in the slot, that's something that I look for when I'm looking at film. You rotate him from safety to nickelback corner. A guy who can play both positions is something that I look at. And again, if Wilkes brings in a new scheme, he's going to be. I mean, he's not great at fitting into the zone scheme. He's more of a run and cover, like turn your head, run man to man kind of scheme. So if Steve Wilkes does bring in his zone scheme, he won't be that good at fitting into that. So that's just my quick notes on him.
Yeah, I like Trey Dean, and like you, I agree with everything that you said. I do think Wilkes is a zone heavy guy.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah.
but that doesn't mean that he's going to completely redo what the 49ers do. I think that these
Right.
guys are going to do what I think a guy like Steve Wilkes is going to recognize what his guys are good at, and he's probably going to call games according to that. Like, I don't think he's going to deviate too far from what D'Amico was doing. And I'd be surprised if he does that. But yeah, no, I like Trey Dean.
Yeah,
And
trading. It was either him or I think Martin was going earlier in the mock drafts that I was doing, so I couldn't get him. But what's your number 3?
my number 3 is where is he? KJ Henry out of Clemson. And
Okay.
this is a guy that could fall to the 49ers. They could have to trade up to get him. I think that he would be the ideal speed rusher that the 49ers have been looking for since what's his name, the guy that couldn't stay healthy. I can't remember his name right now. The guy that's been hurt like since we paid him all the money, and yeah, I can't remember his name. But yeah,
Oh,
we've been
Quan
looking.
Alexander?
No, not Quan.
No? Okay.
The defensive end.
Defensive end that we paid Ameni no, sorry, Ebicom?
Yeah, no, before them when they
Before?
first on 2019, he was like part of that great defensive line,
D
and then
Ford?
he got D Ford. God, I
Okay.
don't know why I couldn't think of his name, but yeah,
Yeah. The
like
story of D Ford, man, that
yeah,
was crazy.
maybe it's because I try to block it out of my memory.
Yeah.
Like I don't know, but yeah, KJ Henry. I don't think he's on D Ford's level per se, but he's kind of a smaller guy. Like as far as the weight goes, he's 6'4", 250, and he's one of those guys that could really bring some speed to the edge game, and they could bring him in as just like a pass rusher, and which is what I really think Bosa needs on the other side of it.
That's interesting because I'm kind of going back and forth between, do the 49ers kind of get a guy like, obviously my next guy is DJ Johnson from Oregon at like pick 101. Do they get a guy like that and a kind of a guy like that has a similar build to Charles Omenihu, kind of replace Charles Omenihu, or do they get a speed guy? My question to you is, what would you prioritize more? Trading up for right tackle or trading up for edge? Or
Oh,
would they trade
for
up for an
sure.
edge?
For sure it'd be right tackle. If
Okay.
they're
That's what
if
I'm thinking too.
But you know how the 49ers are about their edge players. And they're just gonna somebody on the defensive line is gonna get one of those 3 picks, and those first 3 picks is gonna be a defensive lineman. So
Yeah.
I'm just trying to get ahead of the curve.
Yeah. I'd agree there. So number 2, I've got DJ Johnson. Real quick, Grandizer here with a comment saying it takes a lot of time to get into the draft, watching a lot of college football during the season, reading up on a lot of players, watching game tape on YouTube. It's like a whole nother job. Yeah, basically.
It is. It really
It's
is.
it's like trying to scout like 600 players.
Yeah.
Like
It's more
it's
than that.
basically impossible.
Like
More. Yeah, more.
Yeah, it's more than that. It's so there's so much that goes into that's why I really defer to the experts like and I do watch my own film too, but I like I'm not an expert. I kind of defer to those expert guys. Like I watch a lot of Draft Network, a lot
Yeah.
of yeah, man. I listen to a lot of people.
I listen to a lot of PFF. They have a nice little, I can't remember. It's like a podcast it's sponsored by PFF or whatever, hosted by PFF, but it's like two heads on the podcast logo. And
Hmm.
it's a really cool podcast. I can pull it up real quick, but I listen to them. I like getting into quarterbacks each year, kind of the first round quarterbacks this year.
Mm.
It's really interesting. So they do a lot on that. We'll get into the Anthony Richardson talk. I mean, that's something that I like to get into. But
Yeah.
DJ Johnson is my number 2 pick here. I think, what is your number 2?
My number 2 is going to be Chris Smith from
Okay.
Georgia. 5'11", 192 safety, and he is more than a Jimmy Ward clone. He is a true free safety and a guy that you could stick in that single high and not have a worry about anything. He can also guard tight ends. It's supremely athletic, and
Yeah.
I don't understand how he's even in this area. I don't even know if he will fall to this area, but he's continuously in all the mock drafts that I've seen. He's continuously in that area. So
Mm-hmm.
it's so I would take him as my number 2 option.
DJ Johnson, that's so you're kind of, before I get to him, you're kind of more, I've definitely noticed like you're more focusing on a lot of the safeties, because I think you've had 3 so far in your top 10.
Yes.
So
I mean, that's what our need is.
yeah, that's true.
I look at it as this. My focuses in this draft were really right tackle, safety. George Kittle. This is the last year of his deal. We're gonna need. I don't know that I don't know what's gonna happen with him. So I think that these are positions where they need to fill them now to be able to do what the 49ers do, which is if they need to sit for a year, then have them sit for a year and be ready to go next season. So
Yeah. That's definitely, I think not a ton of players in the draft are going to probably see the field. I mean, I don't know. I think maybe a few. I mean, obviously injuries can always happen, but a lot of these guys I think are going to be practice squad type of players. So my second guy, DJ Johnson, again, I said before, Omenihu, reminds me a lot of Omenihu. Actually, their build is the same. Omenihu is 6'5", has an 85-inch wingspan, 280 pounds, 36-inch arms. Hold on. 36-inch arms. And then you have DJ Johnson, who is 6'4", 260, 33-inch arms. And then, and then they both have 9-inch hands. So pretty similar build. Obviously, the one thing with DJ Johnson is not a ton of pass rushing moves, kind of a guy who is going to bull rush you, has power. So similar to Mike Morris, they're actually similar in the way I scout them is basically, I mean, their power, they can play maybe even a little bit of defensive tackle as well. So you get him some technique moves and he could become a Charles Omenihu, Arden Key type of player. And that's kind of the mold that the 49ers have gone after the last few seasons in free agency. So
I'll take it.
Yeah, for sure. So without further ado, rounding it out, I think we both have this guy at number 1.
Yeah, we're
Blake
probably
Freeland.
both. Yes, Blake Freeland, I think, is a majority of anybody that's following the draft for the 49ers. I think Blake Freeland is the guy that we're looking at. And I don't care what has to happen. I don't care what has to happen. He needs to be the pick at 99. And if that means that they've got to move up to 80 or whatever they've got to do, that he needs to be the pick.
I've come to this conclusion that the 49ers aren't going to pick all 11 picks. So they're going to obviously package some picks. Now, I haven't really looked before, in the previous seasons, I haven't really done a ton of like sim mock drafts. And so I don't know what it takes to actually trade up all these spots, but apparently it takes a lot.
Yeah.
Apparently, it takes the 49ers just don't like, I was thinking with 11 picks, now maybe next year, because the 49ers have a ton of, I mean, they got 7 compensation picks, I think next year. So
Mm-hmm.
next year might be a year that we have a ton of picks and we can trade up a lot more. But this year is like, we have 11 picks. And so you're probably willing to trade away like 3 or 4 of those picks. And so it's like the most you could get up is, I think the highest I got up was 70, pick 70. This was kind of something that I did. I traded with the Raiders, pick number 99, pick 102, and pick 173 for pick 70.
Ooh.
And so, I mean, I don't know. I went up and got what's his name?
Blake Freeland.
Blake Freeland. So
Yeah.
I mean, he's a tall dude, but ran a super good 40 at the
Yeah.
combine. I think it was a 4.49. No,
And looked good
4.49.
on the sled. Looked good on the sled. Like I mean, yeah, he looked good. He looked the part.
Mm-hmm.
He's a guy that I think he'd probably be starting by week 6.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just think that that's entirely an option. And I don't even know if they have to go all the way up to 70 to get him. I
Mm-hmm.
think that he's going to fall in that 85, that 80 to 85 realm. And for me, because they have so many picks next season, and because we get our first and second round pick back, I decide a couple of times when I've traded up, I'll trade the 99 pick with next year's third and
Yeah.
next year's fourth, and I can usually get up to that 80
Okay.
realm, 85. So it's if whatever they got to do, I don't really care. I fully expect them not to use all 11 picks this year. I
Yeah.
said that last year and they proved me wrong. but but before that they had moved all over the draft. So I don't know that they won't do that this year.
We'll see. We'll see. He's a big dude,
Yeah.
very tall, 6'8".
Yeah.
That's my thing is like, he his bend, I'm not sure against speed, defensive ends, which is something that we kind of talked about with Mike McGlinchey, but this guy's a lot heavier than Mike McGlinchey was.
His technique is better than Mike McGlinchey's,
Yeah.
so in pass protection. So I mean, his Mike McGlinchey's issues didn't have anything to do with athleticism. Mike McGlinchey's
Yeah.
issues were all technical and things that were just to be honest, they were just brain farts. He would just have brain farts just randomly.
Yeah.
And it was all technique based. And it's sad that. And one of his best friends is Joe Staley, and Joe Staley had to publicly come out and just kind of admonish him and say, hey, he needs to work on this. And then he came out and said the same thing and admitted it, and he got better as the season went on, but he still has that occasional brain fart where he just can't put his technique together. So it is what it is, but he got paid. Good for him.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that is a whole nother joke in itself. The Broncos literally spent $100 million on their offensive line, and one of them is a fraud. So good luck to
Yeah.
you. But yeah, you basically took that Walmart money and you said what the Jaguars did last year. You said, we're going to do this year on our offensive line. We're going to give these guys a deal that they cannot refuse. And
Yeah.
that's basically what they
That's
did.
what happens when you're a bad team. It happens when
Yeah.
you're a bad team. 49ers had to do
Yeah.
it too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Overpaying D Ford, Quan Alexander. Yeah. Giving him huge. Richburg. Yep. Yep.
So.
Niner sickness, guys. What's up, Niner sickness?
Oh, what's going on, Beto?
And check out. So real quick, I actually haven't done this. Back to Niner sickness. The NFC, the 49ers podcast network. I think it's called that. Go and check that channel out if you haven't already. Really cool channel. I'm hoping I can get on tomorrow. It goes on every week on Thursday nights. So look it up, 49ers Podcast Network, and you're a part of that as well. So
Yes, I am. I will not, and he's probably just learning about this right now, but I will not be able to be on tomorrow because I had a prior engagement with Jack Hammer asking me to come on with him. I've got a round table with Jack Hammer and Eric Price from the Bay. I
Bay
can't
Area
remember.
baller.
Yeah, Bay Area baller, and then another a newer guy to the realm, and I can't. And I'm sorry, he's gonna kill me, but I can't.
Ted H talks.
No,
Is that him? Oh,
he's got a new. It's kind of like it's the three of them. It's all NFL, but and I can't remember what his name is, but he'll be on with us tomorrow. So make sure you check that out, Jack Hammer's channel.
well, sounds good. We've got to get out of here though. I said that we are going to look at the players that the 49ers have met with, but I'll do that on my separate time. So guys, go check out Peter Lucas. Obviously, his YouTube is in the description. His Twitter handle and I think Instagram handle as well is on the screen and also in the description. So go check him out. He's a 49ers content creator, also talks NFL. So go give him some love. Help him get to 300 because you're closing that mark there.
Yeah.
I didn't check it recently, but what are you at right now?
I need 33 more for 300.
More.
So yeah, appreciate you. It's been a wild ride. I love the journey. I love just talking football. So if you want to come to a channel that with the guy that just loves to talk football and could talk 49ers forever, and I bring on great guests like Ben. Like Ben's gonna make it on eventually.
Thank you.
And then we're gonna get. And yeah, I have Niner sickness on there. I got a whole bunch of people. I just had Steph Sanchez on, and this week I had Levin Black from Niners Nation on. So yeah, come on through. We're trying to build the community, and yeah, I just love talking football. So, but I appreciate you having me on, Ben. I love doing your show. It's just a good time.
Yeah, thank you. Real quick though, 49ers just signed Austin Bryant.
I saw that.
Okay. Well,
yeah.
that might how should I say this? Take away us maybe signing DJ Johnson because they have a very similar build. So maybe that's something that we don't do anymore. But everyone, this has been a great show. Have a good night. I'll be back probably next week, and I'll be posting clips from this show during the week. So we'll see you guys again later. Have a good night.
Peace. Go night.